Hey, good evening, everybody. Happy Friday. Welcome aboard. Thanks for stopping in on a summertime Friday night here in YouTube land. Welcome aboard. What's up, Mike? Look at this assortment. We got a helmet, got the Magic 8 Ball, we got a sheep, we got peering eyes. Welcome aboard, man. How you doing? Hey, Eve, how you doing? Here we have clapping and a smile or a hug. Welcome aboard, Eve. Hey, Barry, how you doing? Welcome to you. Thank you for coming in. CJ, thank you as always, man. Great to have you. Hello, Eve. No way. Eve with no electric. Sorry to hear that. Hey, Karen, how you doing? Good evening. And Hydran, good evening to you as well. Thanks for popping in, guys. I do appreciate it. Last week was 4th of July weekend here in the U.S., and I had a couple of concerts, so I couldn't do the show. I think I alluded to that in the last one. So we are back. Just to reiterate, it's either going to be on Fridays or Mondays, probably between now and October. So 4th of July was the one little hitch because I had a couple of shows on both nights, actually, and on Sunday. So with that said, we're good tonight. We look good next Friday because my next show is next Saturday. So it looks like Friday nights tonight and next week, and then I'll keep everybody posted as far as the rest of the month of July and in through August and September as we battle against my concert schedule. So, we'll do the once a week live shows, and hopefully you guys understand. And I really do appreciate that. I'd love to be on as much as possible just to hang out and say hi to everybody and go through this cool stuff we go through on this little channel here. Hey, what's up? Number 2 is here and listening. Great to have you, Carl. Welcome aboard. Let's see if number 1 makes an appearance. I'm sure she will. I hope she will. It's great to have everybody. We have, I'm going to do a little bit of listing. There's not a ton to do. I have plenty of ads to list, but I only prepped, I think I got like 30 ads out of a magazine, and I listed like 10 or 15 of them already. So there's probably like 14, 15 left. We'll just have some fun and take a look and discuss and do what we do. But back to Eve. No electric for the last 90 minutes. What's going on? Are we in Stormsville down in the Gulf area? Are you somewhere else and just losing power? Very sorry to hear that, but thanks for spending some time when you're out of power here on my channel. I really do appreciate that. How you guys been? How's the last couple of weeks been? We are definitely in the summer slowdown doldrums. At least a lot of us are, especially anybody who sells seasonal stuff. But Eve is in North Carolina. Wow, it's crazy. Sorry to hear that you're experiencing. I guess you're having some bad thunderstorms. Oh, Fayetteville, sure. Really quick story about Fayetteville. My dad, who was in the Vietnam War in the 60s, he was there in 1966. He went to one of the Fort Bragg, is it? One of the army bases was in Fayetteville. And my mom stayed in Fayetteville, and like they put them up in these little like mobile homes. She was only 18 years old. And she was down there for a whole year on the base. In Fayetteville. And then when my dad came back from the war, I was conceived in Fayetteville, and I was almost born there. I just talked to my mom about this last month when I visited she lives down in Florida now. And I said, when did you come up? She says, I think she was like 6 or 7 months pregnant with me, and she moved back up to Staten Island where I was born. So I came within 2 months shy of being born in Fayetteville, North Carolina. So it's a place that I do many, many drives down south on 95, and I always pass the sign for Fayetteville, and I get a little warm and fuzzy feeling because it was almost the place of my birth. So not that anybody really cares, but I just thought I'd share that since Eve is from Fayetteville. Let me see. The magazine I have for tonight it's Life magazine. It is from 1960, 60. So you're still kind of, it's modern-esque, but it still has a little bit of a 50s feel to it, which makes sense. Friends and I used to talk about all that. It usually takes like a year or two of a new decade to kind of establish what the new decade is. And it really is true. If you look at 1960, it's really still the 50s. If you look at 1970, it's definitely still the 60s. 80 is still the 70s. It usually takes, I could definitely remember like, let's just use 80s because I was in high school. So 80, 81, 82, it kind of became the 80s. You know what I mean? And I'm sure a lot of people feel the same way. So it holds true even in the styling and stuff. When you see these magazines, these advertisements, it still looks very 50s. The women are in the dresses with the hoop skirts still and all that kind of stuff, even though it's 1960. All day free. I'm really sorry to hear that. That's terrible. What's up, Enzo? Your son played minor league hockey in Fayetteville. Wow, very cool. All these connections with Fayetteville. You're an earshot of Fort Bragg. Is it called Liberty now? Yeah, they probably changed that. But I'm pretty sure it was called Fort Bragg, and my dad was down there. He was there. And, well, my parents had a shotgun wedding, sort of, because they had planned on getting married. But my dad got drafted. There was the draft in place in 1965. And they had their wedding in December of 65. And then he had to report down to Fort Bragg January of the new year. So it's pretty cool. He's in his Army uniform and has like the shaved head in the wedding pictures. What's up, Gio? How you doing? Gio's Treasure, welcome to the show. Yeah, so lots of love out there for Eve and the lovely town of Fayetteville. It actually is a really nice looking town. Has good rest stops when you get off. If anybody takes that ride up and down 95, Fayetteville is one of those places I'll stop, and not be concerned about where I am. Like, certain towns you pull off, you don't know where the heck you are. You need gas. In the middle of the night, it could be a little scary. But Fayetteville, very, very much a safe-looking area, at least from the perspective of hotels and gas stations and stuff like that. Let me turn my volume off on this silly phone because I'm getting storm warnings from Alexa. Okay. Sorry about that, folks. So we won't hear any more annoying beeps. But yeah, 1960 print ads. We'll bang out a few of them. There's a bunch of 2-page ads because I just kind of fused them together. I should have showed you guys what I do, but essentially I scan each sheet separately on my flatbed scanner, and I have a program, just a photo editor that I use, and you can combine within the photo editor. So I try to make sure that they're as straight as possible and then fuse them artificially again. And I make that part of my listing. The photo becomes a 2-page ad. It's sort of a fake 2-page ad. Unless it's actually a true centerfold, and I'll just do the same thing. I'll do 2 scans and there it is. But the vast majority of them aren't true centerfolds. They're just 2 separate pages. So we have like 3 or 4 of them, I guess. You're doing ads, it's great, but definitely long tail. Yeah, as so many things are. A lot of ephemera is, but I'm glad you're enjoying it, and just get them up. Volume is the key with those long tail things. Hi, Marilyn. How you doing? Welcome aboard. Great to have you. So yeah, I should have left. Shoot, maybe I'll do it next time in the next show. I'll leave a couple of those double ones just in case you guys want to see what I do to make them look like one scan. But it's no magic, but it makes for good presentation, I think, anyway, when I'm listing my ads. So yeah, we have I'm just looking quickly in my folder. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 double-page ads that we'll go through. Yeah, we have 14 left to work with tonight, so I'll probably chat for a bit just to get acclimated to StreamYard on YouTube. What's up, Jim? Good evening to you, sir. How you doing? Hopefully you're out of harm's way. You're in Gainesville area, I think you said. I don't think you guys got anything, right? It was kind of more west. Houston, I think, got hit. But great to have you. 'Tis the season, right? Early hurricane season in the Gulf. It's crazy. What's up, Keith? How you doing? As far away from Houston as one can be. Well, not as far away. Due north in parts surrounding the Cleveland vicinity. Good to have you, man. All good. Cool. Great to hear that. I know it's still hot and soupy. That's for sure. But it is July, so I guess that's to be expected. We wait all year for the weather to get nice, and everybody complains that it's too hot. Human nature in full force. And then already, you start seeing all the fall stuff is coming out already in July, and everybody gets all kind of excited about Halloween and all that time of year, and it's beautiful. It is beautiful weather. I do love fall the best, honestly, just from a weather perspective. I think it's great, great, great weather. Most of the fall until you get to December is pretty temperate. It's usually just cool and crisp in the evening, which I like, and usually pretty nice in the daytime when the humidity goes away and the pretty colors of the leaves and all that good stuff. So it is definitely my favorite time of year. I love fall. But with that said, we're only a couple of weeks into summer, so let's not rush everything, right? Like people like to do. So yeah, that's what's going on here. As Gio just alluded to earlier about the long tail aspect of these things that a lot of us are into, like postcards, print ads, ephemera in general. I'm not really upset by that. I think everybody knows that going in, and like I just said, just try to get the volume up and you'll see good results. If you have thousands of any of those things, tens of thousands preferably, I think, especially with the postcard things, you probably get several sales from them every day. It's probably pretty tough to build your entire business around something like this, although there's plenty of people that succeed in doing that. But, Kevin, good friend of the show, postcard guy down in Florida. If you're watching, welcome aboard. How you doing, Kevin? He specializes in some really, really good real photo postcards. So his stuff all sells at a premium. It might still take a little while to sell, but when it does, he's getting good money because he kind of specializes in those real photo postcards. So it's all about, I think it's all about volume with that stuff. But there's a lot of unique aspects of the print ads that I enjoy a lot. And I think you've all seen that. And I've sold, several print ads north of $100, which is fantastic. The ROI, the return on investment, is probably arguably one of the highest there is out there. Try to go find something that you're spending a penny, 2 pennies, literally, maybe even conservatively a nickel, a piece, and making, even if you sell it for $10, what's the product? Do the math. That's tens of thousands of % profit. So, like most things in life, there's a good, upside and a downside. The downside is sometimes it could take a while, but just get as many as you can get up, and hopefully, most importantly, enjoy what you're doing, because I genuinely enjoy it. I really enjoy the print ads. I have a system in place, which is, again, if anybody hasn't seen it, I welcome you to check out the playlist. I have a whole pretty long playlist all about print ads, kind of from soup to nuts, how to do them. I was thinking about revisiting some of the aspects of those videos because I think I made them 2 years ago now. And there's some stuff, especially the listing has changed a little bit. It's really just the interface has changed a bit on eBay with listing. But maybe I'll freshen up a little bit of that series because it's done pretty well and people seem interested in it. But I enjoy doing it. I have a nice process in place that works for me. And again, I invite anybody that wants to check out that video and see if it's something that you can, employ on your own. Feel free to tweak, obviously, for your own needs. But, if you're just getting into it, I think it's a nice kind of a template to get started. And hopefully everybody enjoys that. What's up to Paige? How you doing? Hello. Hope the summer concert's going well. Yeah, man, I was just talking about it at the beginning of the show. That's why I wasn't on last week, was 4th of July weekend. I think we had 3 shows, so it was good. It was very, very hot up here, like it is in most of the country. Like it was, I don't know, that heat index, which I guess is the equivalent of a wind chill factor, right? The same kind of a thing where they, combined, I guess, what is it, humidity and the heat and the temperature? I don't even know what makes up a heat index. I assume that's what it is. But it was like 105. And of course, I'm doing outdoor shows. So the one good thing about that is you're guaranteed to lose about 5 pounds easily in a 3 hour performance when you're playing out there. But it was a really good time. It was a great weekend to play 4th of July. People are up, people are off usually, and they're in good spirits, and it's a lot of fun. So I love Memorial Day has kind of the same thing. If you can play Memorial Day, 4th of July, Labor Day weekend's a big weekend to have shows on. You usually find really fun crowds and, people that are into it. I love that. I love playing for people that are there to see us. It's a lot of fun. But thanks for checking into Paige. I saw DePage again. Was it Instagram? I think it was Instagram. He popped up doing an open mic night kind of scenario. That was fun. I saw you playing, strumming the old acoustic. Beautiful thing. Again, a young lady singing. So that's a lot of fun. I've never done an open mic thing in my life. I've never done a karaoke thing in my life. I played probably literally 1,000 shows at this point, easily. Because if you go back to the early days of the Jiminy Flip It musical history, I used to just do regular cover band music in Manhattan right after work. When I worked in Manhattan when I was, 19, 20, 21 years old. And we used to basically get paid in beer. We get a couple of bucks, but we became the house band at this place called Stone Street Cafe. There's a plug. I don't know if it still exists, but it was on Stone Street in Lower Manhattan. And I used to play a bunch of shows there on Friday nights after work. It was such a kick. But when you're that age, it was like so simple, And I developed quite the, what's the word? When you have like a resistance towards certain things. I can't think of what the word is, but I could drink a lot. Let's just put it that way. I could drink a lot because for those days where we would being a singer, I used to play drums when I first started. I would sing. I was like Don Henley. I would sing and play drums. And they used to give us pitchers, just a pitcher of like Bud Light or Miller Lite. And I would drink that like one would drink nowadays a water when they're on stage and just trying to quench your thirst. So tolerance, that's the word. I developed an insane tolerance at that age. Like I could just drink so much beer and just, honest to God, I'm not trying to press anybody by this. Trust me, I'm just saying. But it became like water to me, And then I would start doing other things when I was that age and wanted to hang out and have a drink and try to get a little buzz going. I had to drink, hard liquor and lots of it to try to get any kind of a reaction. So I don't recommend this, kids at home, but that's what I used to do. Honestly, just drink pitchers of beer to quench my thirst when I was singing. And of course, everybody smoked in those days, so the bars are like filled with smoke and the clubs are filled with smoke. And oy vey, thank God all that's gone now for me, because I would never be able to do that now. I don't know how I did it then. I guess because I was a kid, you know. But tolerance was the word I was looking for. I had a very high tolerance. CJ, is that the set list? Playlist. Thank you very much, man. Yeah, check that out. Anybody who hasn't checked it out, I appreciate very much, CJ. CJ, my original moderator, and very proud to have him. He does a bang-up job. When we used to get those little scammy kind of comments and stuff, he would snipe them from the rooftop. He's a marksman, is CJ. But thank you very much, CJ. Yeah, if anybody's interested, check out that link. Click on that link that CJ provided if you haven't seen the how-to video series. But it's good stuff. A humid show in Baltimore almost killed you. Yeah, was that last weekend, man? Because that's we were out there 3 days. It was humid. Hi, Lisa. Lise, how you doing, Lise? Great to have you. Hi, Roger. How you doing? Good evening to you. Roger Wildwood. Great to have you, man. Welcome to the show. I promised we will do some listing. I just wanted to kind of chat and hang out for a little bit because it's been a while since I've been on. And if anybody has any stories they want to tell about drinking, no, I'm not kidding. About how sales have been going, about maybe like some strategies that you guys are employing if you're experiencing any of this summer slowdown that everybody talks about. What are you doing to try to combat it? We can't just sit here and take it, right? My suggestion, I mentioned it a couple weeks ago, is just list, stock up. We are in third quarter now, right? Just started July 1st, which means we're only a quarter away from fourth quarter. So, you know, if it is going a little bit slowly for you, more so than usual in these long tail items, then just pile up, get them up. If you're not selling nothing, you got plenty of time to list, right? There's no excuses for us. See, I think the temptation is to say, well, nothing's selling, I'm going to take some time off. What's the point in listing? But when really, I think, honestly, the opposite should be true. You should be just loading up on listings, you know, try to hit plateaus if you want to do that. You know, X amount of 1,000 listings, X amount of 100, whatever it is. And just load up, because when the smoke clears and we get out of this summer slowdown stuff, you'll be poised. You'll be in a really good spot where you have, you know, maybe even potentially doubled your listings going into the summer, something like that. And then when the buyers are back in play, you'll be set up for success. I know it's tempting to just, especially this time of year, you know, a million other things all of us could be doing, but hopefully if you're serious about this and you want to succeed and you want to give it your all, then give it your all, you know, load up, list. That's all I can say. Hopefully you agree. More paper you put up, the more paper you make. There you go. That's another t-shirt statement by Gio. Jim just said, list. You just hit 10,000. There you go. See? He just basically, list. That's what I just said in one sentence. Congrats on the 10,000. If you feel like sharing, Jim, what is the bulk of your 10,000? Like, are you primarily an ephemera guy? Do you list everything? You know, I have two stores. The main store that we always talk about is definitely ephemera heavy. I have like 70, I could check in a minute, 7,600, 7,700 listings, something like that. Of course, hopefully for all of us, that's a fluid number, right? You want to sell some. I don't want to just keep adding and adding with nothing coming down. But right now I'm somewhere in that 76, 7,700, something like that. I forgot my point about that. But anyway, I'm around 7,600. Oh, I wanted to say the bulk of my listings. Yeah, I have like 4,000 of that 7,600 is print ads, about 2,000 is postcards. So obviously, you know, 6,000 of the 7,600 are basically paper. So I'm very heavy in ephemera in this store. My other store I do clothing on. It's an old store I had for years that I kind of revived and turned into just purely clothing. And that's actually doing really well for me. Thank goodness. So it's fun to just have it's almost like two separate businesses. You know, but that one I just started in April, I think it was. And I've just been listing. I've had some good luck with free stuff, free clothing coming my way. My mother-in-law, my wife's mom, mother-in-law. I don't want to get into all the details, but anyway, she worked for this family for years and years and years. And the kids are all grown now. They're in their early 20s. She was like a nanny for them, essentially, and raised them. Well, anyway, they gave her tons of clothes. Pretty cool, like some fashionable names. It's a couple of girls and a young kid who's now probably like 21, 22. But anyway, I basically got all their clothes. I got like Nike sneakers, which sold really quickly and really well. And they're in great, great condition because my mother-in-law, being the nanny, is the one that washed the clothes and pressed the clothes. She's fanatical with that stuff. Does a great, great, great job. So like everything is like basically new. Of course, I'm not selling it as new, but and I'm using the tagline "back to school," believe it or not, because in a couple of months it'll be back to school time. So I'm like, perfect time to buy for back to school. So like, kids sneakers, and the sneakers have been doing really well for me. All Nikes. Just clothing, jeans. I'm a big fan of selling jeans. I enjoy selling jeans. I think they're pretty easy to do. But anyway, that's the other store. So I have a little bit of both. Obviously, the bulk of my stuff is in this main store that we talk about all the time, the 7,600 or so listings. But it's fun to have this this other thing coming in, and clothing doing okay. I'm selling, golf shirts, things like that are seasonal. So it's pretty cool. It's a nice way to supplement the main store. You just took on a third vintage booth, tagging stuff to fill it. Wow, congratulations, Hydra. That's awesome. There's a way to combat summer slowdown. If it's long tail, eventually with enough inventory, it becomes meaningless. Things will sell it. Exactly, Enzo. Exactly. And we've talked about this 100 times, but just for the benefit of anybody new or somebody that's like concerned about the slowdown, what Enzo said is exactly right. And then you get to a point where you literally don't care if I listed it tonight, if I listed it 5 years ago. I sold an ad this week it's not 5 years, probably about 3 years. It's been listed for 3 years and it just sold. So to Enzo's point, you're right. It becomes irrelevant when you listed it. There'll be a bulk. If you get to certain numbers, and there's no magic number, but if you consistently list these things on a daily basis, you feed the machine, as the cliche goes, and you get a decent amount of volume, there'll be enough buyers out there to make you comfortable that they'll pick up a bunch of ads or postcards or whatever it is. And again, it really won't matter if you listed it tonight or if you listed it 5 years ago. A number of those things will sell on a daily basis if you keep feeding the machine. So that's, now granted, of course, there's ebbs and flows, but as long as your general trajectory is going up on a year-over-year basis, I think we should all be good. Don't get, mired in the fact that, oh my God, this month has been lousy. And, eBay, the one drawback about that screen where they show, you see your numbers, it's always based on the prior 30 days. So when it says down 15%, you're thinking, oh my God, I'm down. You're only down 15% month over month. You know what I mean? Look at your year. I think the real number is the yearly number for me personally. Florida Man Jim, postcards mainly. Oh, cool. Very good. 10,000 postcards. That's a solid number, man. Congrats. Good evening, Craven Cause. Yes, happy listing. Exactly. That should be our credo. Laney Lord, don't limit yourself. That's right. So many different kinds of things. Yeah, that's good advice. There's people that like to niche down and just sell specific things, and that's wonderful. It certainly makes your when you niche down, like if all I did was print ads, as I alluded to earlier, I have a system in place that I'm pretty quick at it, for what I do. I think you become better and better. You don't need multiple types of supplies for shipping. Let's say you don't need 100 different shipping policies. This is just for people that niche down, no matter what your niche is. It's kind of cool because you can just get the packaging you need for the item you sell. You're not going to be selling a furniture set one day and a computer piece the next day and a pair of shoes the next day and a piece of paper the next day. And so there's, again, like most things, there's pros and cons. But to Lainey's point, I like having some variety as well. I do. I do. It's not all ephemera. I just happen to personally enjoy the ephemera. So I enjoy having that in my store, and, they sell. So it's good stuff. Question, what clear sleeves do you use for postcards? You just acquired a few hundred and want to protect them. Is that not a link down in my video? I apologize. I'd have to look. Let me look. Excuse me as I scroll down my own video. Don't remember if I have a link for the let me see, hold on. No, I just have whatchamacallit. I have mostly print ad stuff. I buy from a guy on eBay, actually, Hydran. The sleeves of the postcards. I could throw a link in there for you. I'll pull it up and I'll give you a link, okay? You got power back. Congratulations, Eve. Thank goodness. That's great. What's up, man? How you doing? Parker's Postcards is here on one of his many handles. Great to see you, man. Hope all is well. All is well here. For cheapy sleeves, I bought photo albums from I guess you mean buy photo albums from the thrift store and cut the pages out. Yeah, there you go. Yep, absolutely, man. Recipe card albums, whole postcards. Yeah, there's different ways to skin a cat. That's true. Yep, nothing wrong with being frugal in your supplies, especially recycle boxes and whatnot. I'm not ashamed of doing that. CJ gives a hard no. I'm not sure what he's saying no to. Ephemera takes up very little room relative to some certain other things. Certainly postcards do. That's one of the many things I love about them. Yeah, you can fit a lot of postcards in one of those slim boxes. LT, IT. Sorry, I think it's just me being a little bit slow in the response. So like when I see it, just to pop up a statement like that. You need individual sleeves so you can sell them. No link to sleeves. There you go. Okay, no problem. Oh, you look. Thank you, CJ. I appreciate it. Yeah, hang on. I'll go to where I've bought them before. I'll tell you. Anybody, I'm sure you know anybody in postcards. I know Florida Man Jim certainly knows Popeye's postcards. He sells, or he used to anyway, in his whatnot auctions. He would often sell the sleeves. Let me just go back into my previous purchases, and I'll try to find the store name. Sorry. Entertain yourselves while I search in my store here. Just a second. There we go. The last one I got was on January 5th. Yeah, I'll just put a link to the item. You guys can let me know if you could see this. I hope you can. And I'm sure the guy that runs the store will not hate it. Look above, says Jim. Sell the postcards. Yes, sell the postcards. Yes, look above. Hang on. Here's the link for and if somebody already put this in, I apologize, but that's the link to the guy's page on eBay. I think on eBay they sell slightly less than his regular store. But the guy has, 71,000 feedback. He's been doing this a long time. The sleeves are fantastic. He has all the different sizes, continental, standard, whatever you need. So check out that link if you're interested in picking up the sleeves. That's the ones I use. Mark from SM Postcards sells sleeves. Oh, there you go. Yeah, definitely. Great idea, Karen. Good call. Speaking of which, Mark, where are you, man? He's probably, I don't know what he's doing. What is Mark doing at 7:30 on a Friday night? I'm not sure. Excellent suggestion, though, Karen. Yeah. Go check that out. Look above if you're getting it. YouTube page. Thanks. Yeah. Yeah, go check out Mark's coffee. I don't know if it's pronounced coffee. Ko-fi, however you pronounce it. Let me see if I can find that, actually. And while you're at it, definitely check out Mark, SM Postcards. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Between him and Popeye, you're pretty much set with all your postcard needs. Kevin also a postcard guy. Kevin does great videos. Julie Norman, I love watching her videos. She does postcards. Trying to think who else that I follow does postcards almost exclusively. Those are the big ones. I'm going to link, if nobody's done it yet, I'm going to link to Mark at SM Postcards. Check out this link. We're just linking away tonight, folks. It's one big happy family community. Check out that link. That's Mark's page. I'm told he sells the sleeves on there too. So if you wanted to try to help out a fellow postcard YouTuber, then go to that one. You could shop around. But I just wanted to give you that option at least, Hydron. But this eBay one, that's where I usually get mine. Hi, Anthony. Anthony Thomas Experience. How do you trim your ads? Do you sell the whole page the ads on? You mean if the ad is smaller than the whole page, then I would just cut out the actual, the perimeter of the ad. So if it's like we're going to do tonight at some point, if it's 14, 15 by 11, something like that, and it's a half page ad, and I'll trim, and just actually give them the half a page that the ad exists on. As far as how do I trim my ads? There is a link for that, CJ, down below in the video, Anthony Thomas Experience. If you check it out, I have a link to the trimmer I use. It's fantastic. If you're interested in picking one up, you could click that link. Do you basically list every ad you see in a magazine, or have developed an eye for what to sell? It's a great question, Enzo. I think I've developed an eye, although I would argue that there's always a buyer for virtually anything. I try to sell, 99% of what I see, though, in every magazine. I just think there's lots of sleeper items that we've talked about before, right? Especially in the back of magazines, especially in really old pre-World War I era. The last 20 pages of any given magazine are going to have those really tiny, square inch, square 2-inch type of ads, and you'll find some really interesting stuff, especially as you go back in time 100 plus years. Ads for buggies. I think I talked about that one time. I sold a 2-inch by 2-inch ad for a buggy. When cars were, if they were even out, they were brand new, and horse and buggy was still mainly the main mode of transportation other than trains. So I've sold stuff like that. That's where I geek out at that stuff. I love the historical aspect of cool things like that. I've literally sold a Model T ad, which is outrageously cool, from when they were brand new. I really enjoy doing that. So yeah, I do, long way around the question. And so yeah, I try to get almost every ad, but I'd like to think I've developed an eye. It's held through on certain listing shows, actually. If you guys have seen, we'll price something really way up. If I know do you guys remember it was either the last show or the show prior, there was an advertisement for some kind of cocktail mix, but it was like a Hawaiian theme, and it was what I just described. It was like half a page wide, but full length. And everybody was saying, use the word tiki, use the word luau. We put them all in. I've had like 1 million eyes on that ad, so I know that'll sell. And I think I have that priced like $30. And it's just a half a page ad, but it's popular. It's a popular topic. The whole Hawaiian thing, people enjoy that stuff and collect that stuff. That would look really cool if you could find a frame that fits it perfectly. Would look outrageously cool over a bar or something like that, or a patio outside. It just creates, an atmosphere. I think it's outrageously cool. Full page. Sorry. We have CJ with a top load holder. Oh, is that Mark's? Cool. Thank you, man. Laney, I also picked up the empty scrapbooks at thrift stores, 12 by 12 black. Yeah, good advice. Absolutely. Yeah, man. Miranda, love Julie. Yeah, I like Julie a lot too. Yep. Facebook group for eBay sellers. And I remember she was interviewed by Suzanne Wells. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I remember Suzanne Wells. Wow, she's been around for a while. I used to watch her a lot too. Haven't in a long time though. For larger ads, yes. Yep, there's the call 18-inch paper trimmer. Thank you, CJ. That's the link to the trimmer. You were asking about trimming pages and stuff. What's up, Swan Picker? How you doing? Great to have you, man. Are you in harm's way? Are you out of harm's way? I hope, with any hurricane activity or tropical storm activity. I think you're down in that area, right? I mean, the name is Swamp. But welcome aboard, man. Great to have you. It's fistful of peanuts time, folks. Eve, for the 1x2, do you bundle them together? You mean the smaller ads? I list them individually. I list every ad individually. I don't think I've done I think would call it like a lot, right? I don't think I've lotted up ads before. I have lotted up successfully. I thought I had one handy. I don't think I do. If you look at any magazine, usually somewhere in the middle, especially in the older magazines, it's going to be like a paper card that you could pull out. It's usually not stapled in. It's just kind of wedged into the paper. Subscribe to life for next year, fill out the card, mail it in. I've sold lots of those with like 15 or 20 of them from different decades for decent money. Just a lot of them all up. But ads, I absolutely sell on an individual basis. The most money I've ever gotten on an ad, I've received on an ad, was for a 2x2 or 2x4-inch advertisement. I don't know anything about, comic books. I know the terms Golden and Silver Age, but I don't know what they correlate to. But yeah, I could see if they're low grade, like you said, and get the ads out. Great idea. I would absolutely been asked this 100 times too. Like, would you get ads out of this magazine, that magazine? My answer is always the same, unless it's like something really seedy or, not cool, unsavory, let's say. Yeah, I would sell ads from any magazine. I don't discriminate against a certain magazine to say I will not from, Modern Fisherman or something. I don't care. I don't care. In fact, those kind of niche magazines you're going to find very interesting ads that you might not find anywhere else. So I'm all for it. Any magazine is fair game for me. Nothing there. Thank God, man. Very good. Hydrin once picked up a lot of 1,000 early 1990s comics. I've been selling them for $3 a piece in my vintage booth. You notice that they have some pretty cool ads. Yeah, it's kind of the same question that Jim just asked, right, about comics. Yeah, if those ads are cool, I mean, do your research. Again, the caveat is I know nothing about comics, and I would hate to, if there was a single issue of a comic that was worth hundreds of dollars, I probably wouldn't cut out the ads. I would sell the comic proper. But if you guys know comics and you did your research and you say, well, the whole comic is only worth 5, 10, 15, even $20, then hey, if you got 10, 15 decent ads in there that you could sell for $10, $15 a piece, it kind of becomes a no-brainer to me. But I totally leave that to those knowledgeable about comic books, which I am certainly not. It's just something I never got into. I know they're hugely popular. A couple of years ago, they were incredibly popular, right? Has that market kind of come back to earth, comic books? I don't really hear that many people talking about them as much. I'm sure they're still super popular, but have they kind of reached that plateau and they're heading back down? Most markets, as we know, go up and down. My game was the stock market for 30 plus years working in Manhattan, so I know all too well. Golden is 50, silver 60s. Very cool. Thank you. Yeah, because I said I didn't know what they translate to, so thanks for that, man. Yeah, sure, Eve. Hey, no problem, Maria. We'll let it slide. Sorry you're late. You still let your Jade up. No problem. I appreciate you. Don't get in trouble. Hopefully you have headphones on, right? Thanks, everybody, for coming in. I do appreciate it. It's been a while. Okay, dinner has been served. Fish full of peanuts and lots of water. I feel like a new man. All right, you guys want to get rocking on some ads? You want to keep just chatting? I'm digging the chatting thing tonight for some reason because I've been listening up a storm, especially on the other store, and a little weary. Comics are a bit down right now, buyers mark. There you go. That's good to know. Weren't they like flaming hot a year or two ago? But that's like most things. Again, the markets come back to earth usually. The key is trying to time, which is almost an impossible thing to do, is try to time that, right? Try to ride the wave at the right time and jump off at the right time. Real estate markets, stock markets, any market, it's kind of the same thing. You love the industry. Very cool, Anthony. That's cool. Yeah, I don't know anything about them. I'm not anti-comic by any stretch of the imagination. I genuinely have no idea. I wouldn't know a good comic. I figured if Batman's on, it's probably pretty cool. Superman's on it, pretty cool. Like, I don't know superheroes outside of the basic ones. I never watched these, like all these new superhero movies. I don't know any of these guys. I never watched any of them. I know the standard Batman, Superman, Aquaman cartoon I remember watching as a kid. I know there's a movie now, but I've never seen it. Who else? I don't know. Can't think of any other real Wonder Woman. The Super Friends. Anybody who's on the Super Friends, I know. That's the extent of my superhero knowledge. Hey, Mark. I'm sorry. I had you up there. Welcome aboard, man. I just threw a plug out there for your Ko-fi coffee store. We had somebody interested in picking up some sleeves, so we gave them an option to go to your store and pick them up. Just scroll up and you'll see it. In fact, it was Karen. So kudos to Karen. She was the one that pointed out the fact that you had that store, and I did put a link in there. You're welcome to do it as well if you want to reiterate. You have to know the difference between Marvel and DC. No, man, I have no idea. I really don't. I couldn't tell you. I don't know. I know the people. I know Batman. I know Superman. I know Aquaman cartoons. I don't know the new Aquaman. I know Spider-Man. I know. Who else? Who am I missing? The Green Hornet. I remember. But anyway, I just never got into him. Yeah, man, no problem. So definitely, Mark's great people, obviously. So buy with confidence if you need sleeves. And there's that link again. Sure. So click on Mark's link if you need help with that. Hey, Lori, how you doing? Drum roll. After months of listening to your channel, you finally listed your first 7 print ads on eBay this week and sold one of them. My pleasure, Lori. Congratulations. I hope it's the first 7 of 7,000. Get them up, get them up, get them up. The more you list, the more you sell. You list, you sell, as somebody once said. But that's great. Congratulations. I'm glad you dove in and I'm glad you're having success. 1 out of 7. I'll take that ratio all day. If I could sell 1 out of every 7 I list within a week, be in the money, in the money. Oh, here's the greatest name in the history of YouTube. Baubles, Blings, and Needful Things. Welcome aboard. Good to have you back. You are here too, just not chatting. No problem. Figures you would feel chatty whilst you're waist deep in working. Literally. Packing and cleaning it. eBay hoard. All right. Oh, well, thank you very much. It's a pleasure to have you. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate the fact that you're listening while doing all those other things. I get it. That's actually a fantastic point. Again, if it's a little bit slow, and you're listing up a storm, and it's a great time to kind of do stuff like that. Tidy up a little bit, maybe try to gain some efficiencies within your own systems, your shipping systems, your listing systems, whatever systems. Let's hope you have some systems in place, first of all. Maybe it's a time to freshen up some business policies. If you don't have business policies, I do have a video about creating them, but I think most of us probably have them or are familiar with them. Maybe tidy those up, come up with new policies, consolidate policies. Maybe you have some stuff that doesn't really apply anymore. There's lots of ancillary activity you can do. You're still in the sphere of eBay and reselling, but if things aren't selling with the frequency you're accustomed to this time of year, take some time, take some accounting, personal accounting. Maybe try to, it might be a good time to source. It's summertime. If you happen to have flea markets around your area, which again, I don't, but I don't like to say that because, if you have the means to get out of your area, then get the heck out of your area, just because it's not an excuse. And I make the own excuse for myself sometimes with the clothing stuff because I'm getting into the clothing store again. It's like I like to whine and say, well, I don't have any, I watch videos, everybody going to these flea markets and buying stuff for $1 and, just tons of tables of people selling things for free and for nothing. And I, my knee-jerk reaction is, well, man, I don't have any near me. No, but I bet if I drove 3-4 hours, I could into a different state, I'll find some. So, and I'm not adverse to that whatsoever. I love traveling and I travel all the time. So sometimes you just have to go to where the stuff is. Even the paper, we can kind of touch on that too. I don't really have any good antique malls near me, other than the one I've mentioned 100 times across the street from where my wife used to work. We would go in there, but it's kind of a hybrid between food, which is very good food, and, a couple of guys, a couple of vendors, but it's nothing great, Certainly on the ephemera front, it's very sparse. I've yet to find a postcard guy. Driving me nuts. But, again, thanks to Popeye, we went out to the York Fair a couple of Novembers ago. I want to go this year for sure, Mrs. Flippit. It's usually in November, right around Thanksgiving time, phenomenal show. So you just got to kind of go where the stuff is, no matter what that stuff is. If you don't have, access to it directly within a small radius of your home, that's a shame. But most of us have something, If I don't have lots of antique malls or fairs to go to, I have an abundance of, for whatever reason, there's a lot of estate sales in my area. So that's what we've been honing in on, especially early on. That's where I got a lot of my stuff. Facebook Marketplace is a great resource nowadays to get virtually anything you want. So the stuff is out there. And hi, Bauble. So yeah, I'm feeling yappy. You're right. Look, I haven't stopped, have I? But I think that's a great idea. Clean up, pack up, reassess things, tidy up stuff within eBay. Like I said, business policies, shipping policies. There's always stuff to do. Maybe just do a really good practice to get into. And I know it's difficult when you get into the multiple thousand listings and beyond, but do an audit. You'd be surprised. Make sure that what you have physically on a shelf or wherever you store your stuff matches what you have in your eBay store. Make sure something hasn't slipped by the wayside that you think you have listed and it's gone. For those of us who do the end and sell similar or any combination of that kind of activity, you'd be surprised. Every once in a while, a listing here or there will suddenly just disappear, but you still have it on your shelf. You think it's listed. So it's a great opportunity to do stuff like that. Do a personal audit of your inventory. Make use of the time, the extra time you might have, unfortunately, from not selling as much. You could apply that extra time and still, do something positive with it. Awesome, Lori. Yeah, that is fantastic. Congratulations. When you go to the shop sign, when you go to the shop up for the white border level, you get 40% of anything. Okay, very cool. Yeah, everybody's got to check out. If you need your stuff, go to Mark's store. How have the cardboard thingies sold? I've collected for years and have a thick folder full. Cardboard thingies. You want to elaborate on that? For some reason, I'm not knowing what you're talking about. How have the cardboard thingies sold? Do I have cardboard thingies for sale? Don't know. Yeah, you can't get proper pap anywhere east of the Mississippi, I guess it is, right? Or maybe not the Mississippi. You know what I mean? Yeah, you want your Midwest pap, you got to go to Chicago and spots like that. Michigan has that same Chicago-esque accent too. The Midwest, happy. They say happy instead of happy. The A, they get that drawn out A. That's a Midwest trademark. In the back instead of the back, things like that. That's an easy one to imitate. Everybody's got an accent. Remember that. You went to a Halloween card auction and left empty-handed. No. Well, yeah, that'll price everybody out of the market. But I'm glad you have a discerning eye, Mark. So that's a good thing. Don't just go in and get stuff for the sake of getting stuff, right? Have some standards in place. Know what you're buying. Know what your sell-through is on the stuff you buy. The more you do this stuff, I think you just become used to, you know, what the going rate is, how to price things. And if it's out of you, I'm proud of you. You know, sometimes like if you make a trip, especially if you drove a couple hours or whatever, it doesn't mean you automatically just have to buy something. If it's not good or if it doesn't meet, you know, your personal metrics that you've established for yourself and your business, don't just buy for the sake of buying. You know, be picky, get the good stuff. Anthony Thomas experience. Do you cut out the pictures and photos in the magazines and sell them? I have. I think we talked about this on a couple of shows too. Yeah, I have. Specifically, more so articles. Like with the magazine, you're going to find lots of articles, obviously. So I absolutely peruse every page of a magazine. I don't just like, you know, the question was earlier, do you have a good eye? Do you think you develop an eye? I like to think I've developed an eye, but I do not sleep on anything because a really nice collection, an article that I had up recently, you might have seen it in my stores, a whole thing about Lucille Ball from like 1944 or 45. She used to be an actress long before the Lucy show, and she was like a cabaret girl kind of thing in the 30s, and by the 40s, she was doing like radio shows. Well, anyway, there was a whole thing about Technicolor or the color system, and they used Lucille Ball because of that bright red hair and red lipstick, and it's really cool. And being Lucille Ball, it's something collectible. So like that's an example. It's like a 3-4 page article. I cut that out. I think I talked about this recently too. There was a magazine from the 50s that I just cut up, and there was a whole like 3, 4, 5 page insert about Willie Mays. Willie Mays had just passed away. So I listed that. As far as like just a photo, I don't know that I've cut a specific photo out. It's usually part of, you know, a couple of page, in the instance of what I'd use anyway, a couple of page articles, things like that. I agree, Enzo. It really is true, though. Seriously, we've talked about this 100 times. No matter where you're from, you think anybody that's not from your area has an accent. And it's true, because we all speak differently. Thank God for that. You went to a local auction site, and you got the 1,000 postcards for 70 cents. Well done, man. Yeah, don't just buy for the sake of buying. You know what that creates? Death piles. Not lease piles. Death piles. Your mother-in-law's from Brooklyn. There you go. Not on. Everybody has an accent, Jim. And there's a video about the 2 auctions. Way to go, Mark. Okay, says Anthony. Okay, if you say so. Chicagoans pluralize store names. Like going to the Kmarts, that kind of a thing. Going to Penny's. I remember my aunt Carol, Staten Island, but she moved to Jersey when I was a kid, and you know, JCPenney, they used to go Penny's. Gonna go to Penny's. It's kind of a similar thing, pluralizing a singular word, right? Is that an accurate statement there, Mark? Mark is the king of the Midwest, so I think that's what you're talking about, though, right? Like saying like Kmart's, Walmart's, Macy's has an S. Macy's is still out there, right? All these legendary, Sears is like basically gone. All these legendary institutional level stores and businesses. It's just so bizarre to see them disappear from the planet. It really is. Yes, that's right. It's very funny. So Mark's sharp as a whip, man. And Mark is coming up next month. We won't say anything, but big birthday next month. So I'm going to have an SM Postcards happy birthday show next month. But, you know, they really do say Chicago instead of Chicago. You know, it's like that's the biggest thing I hear is the A's. In the West, they have this elongated, happy. You know who also talks like that? Our buddies over on $1 Million Peddlers. Yes, Mr. Magazine, Mr. Magazine instead of magazine. The A, it's a Midwest thing. There are right now 10.7 million postcards listed on eBay and plenty thousands left to list in each of our homes. That's right, big 6-0, man. You wine? Okay. You wine and dine, though. You do not fold pizza. Kudos where they're due, though, man. After the show, Mark came out to see us in January on the coldest, even from a Chicago perspective, a frigid early January evening. He came out to the show. We did a City Winery show in Chicago. Nice show, nice venue. But we were determined, we being my band and I, we were determined after the show, and it was late, and it was seriously like below zero. Not wind chill, but actually below zero. We're determined to get a slice of actual Chicago pizza, and it was friggin' delicious. Now, I still don't eat the whatchamacallit, the crust and all that stuff, because I'm doing the carb thing, but I destroyed the cheese, and the sauce was so good. So good. Yes, 60 is still a baby. It really is true. It's all relative, man. People around me speak cornbread. Bless your heart, y'all. Yeah, I know. Haven't lived in Florida. There she is, doing right. The only person in the whole chat that has absolutely no accent. Chicago. Welcome, Dawn. How you doing? No problem. Number one. That's right. Number two made his opinion. Number two is listening. Lazily listening. I don't know if he's lazily listening as well, but welcome aboard, my Canadian brethren and sisterin. Great to have you. That's right. She's on Igloo time. That's right. Yeah, we could spend a whole hour just laughing at the Canadian accents, but we won't do that. We're a kind and gentle station here. A kind and gentler station. But we got, varieties of spice of life. You got Enzo, like me, with the Maroons and Brooklyn's and the real pizza, and you got Chicago. Excuse me. You got the South. Where else are you guys from? Karen's in Jersey. Are you from Jersey, Karen, or you just migrated like almost everybody does? It's usually the progression is like Brooklyn, Staten Island, New Jersey. That's how it always worked. Or Long Island. But you're always from Brooklyn first. I'm choking on the peanuts, so just hang on, folks. The curse of Dawn Wright. I just started choking for the first time in 6 months. Anthony is learning about this niche. Yes, you have thrown away so many magazines. I'm sorry to hear that. Yep, that's okay. Every day is a new opportunity. Every day you open your eyes, new opportunity. Now you know the knowledge is there. Now you go out, you could still find tons of magazines for dirt. I promise you that, Anthony. Go on Facebook Marketplace, look for people selling bundles of magazines. My secret sauce, if you will, and it's nothing secret, is estate sales. We clean up on old magazines at estate sales to the point where they almost want to give it to us because they're perceived as being junk. And, they think everybody wants jewelry and clothing and stuff, which now I will have an eye on clothing, by the way, at estate sales. But yeah, I go for records, 78s, even CDs now I'll get if they're cheap, and they're usually a nothing, quarter, 50 cents, and paper. And you'll find people walking over magazines that are worth lots of money. Not the magazine as a whole, but the contents within. So go get them. Exactly, Elise. Yes, the subscription cards. Yeah, that's what I was saying. Those are the kind of things I've sold them individually too, on par with the pricing of a regular print ad, which my pricing goes up and down like markets as well. But I found that lotting those up together, because it's so easy to do. If you get a stack of magazines that you're ready to carve up, I just pull them out, I throw them in a pile. Before you know it, you got a decent sized pile. I throw them on the scanner, kind of scattered. It looks cool. It looks like a collage or something you'd see on Etsy, like a crafting lot, that people like to do. One of my wallpapers is actually what I made. It's like a bunch of those subscription cards, and I just made like a collage out of it. Yeah, so I like to lot those up. That's the only magazine-related stuff that I've lotted up so far. What's up, Mark? How you doing? And then you got New Mexico. See, we got the whole country covered, and even parts abroad with the Canadians. Violet says, good evening. Good evening. There he is. Outlaw Films. How you doing? You bought some newspapers from Kenny Session. Cool. That's what I'm saying. We've talked about this too. A lot of people are under the impression that the moon landing, Kennedy assassination, name your historic event in a newspaper is going to be super valid. Wow, I got an original article from this. You'll find that there are a dime a dozen, When something is that enormously impactful on the globe, there's lots of paper about it. There's lots of articles about it, and supply and demand kicks in, and you're one of 5 billion other people that have the same newspaper or some version of it. So I agree wholeheartedly, and I respect the guts it takes to take a piece of quote unquote history and carve it up like that, because you're right. A newspaper from 1963 with the Kennedy assassination is a dime a dozen. So kudos to you for cutting them up and getting the groovy articles and pictures and stuff out of it. You'd be sleeping outside if you said that. I'm assuming so. I didn't say anything. Yeah. So I don't want to reveal too much, but I know the real Mark and Mrs. Mark, and they're good people. They're nice. It's all in fun. Same name as your grandpa. You've been saving those subscription costs a lot. Yeah, absolutely, Don. Yeah, I've sold a few. It's so easy. If you have a lot of magazines and you're doing the print ad thing, it's the easiest thing in the world. Just grab it out and start a pile. Get a box, throw them in there, and you'd be surprised how quickly it adds up. Like pennies in a piggy bank. It really does. It adds up, those things, and just take them. They don't have to be from a scanning perspective anyway. In my view, do whatever you like. You could throw them if you have a duplex scanner. You could throw them all through a duplex scanner. But what's the allotment now? 24 photos, I think, per listing. So if you want to do that and put up 24 individual pictures, and good on you, go do it. I just like to kind of scatter them around and lot them up, and I'll put, Lot of Life magazine, but I'll usually put a range, 1936 through 1961, something like that. And then, leave it up to people that are interested in collecting those things. Collectors for everything. There's always collectors out there. You mean your wife is pushing it, the mower? Yeah, she's got to be pushing that mower. The grass is like 5 feet high in Chicago. Anthony's in Florida. Cool. Well, what part? Florida's my second home. Always has been. I lived there for several years. I've been down there probably every calendar year of my life. I've spent some time in Florida. I know it well. Big fan. I'm sure we'll wind up moving there again one day. When I'm 60, like Mark. No, I'm like him. Good evening, good evening, good evening. Comedy Golf. What is going on, man and woman? Great to have you. The eyes are watching. There's a lot of people that watch, but they're quiet, and that's fine. I really appreciate you guys checking in. Watch and or listen. Yes, Glenn is here. Glenn is safe. I asked about this whole storm nonsense. A lot of people are impacted. There's storms all over the country. Again, summertime, heat. That's what happens. You get thunderstorms. Dawn, no, she has a tractor. That's funny. Sitting pretty. 86. Not too terrible, actually. It cooled off here today because we had a lot of rain. It was only in the 80s, but it's been 95 with that legendary heat index, like in 105 or whatever. And I know Mark out in New Mexico laughs at 105, but it's all relative, folks. It's what you're accustomed to, right? Comedy Gaff is here. Dawn, sorry, trying to catch up in the chat here really quick. I like to post everybody's posting. Gives you a little moment in the sun. Enzo, if you run across an ad you already have listed, do you list it or put it on side? Tremendous question also. It really doesn't matter. I mean, there's no harm. You have to word it differently, right? Because the eBay will know that it's a duplicate if you have the same exact title. So if you want to just, especially if you've had one up for a period of time, a year, 2 years, whatever, even if it's a couple of months, whatever you designate as being up there for a period of time, and maybe you want a new fresh listing with the same thing, you'd be surprised. Sometimes you wind up selling 2 of them. This is just something I want to bring up broadly about print ads, and I'm sure it's true in a lot of other things that could be listed, postcards potentially. It is amazing that if I just, I know Dawn does Coke ads on Etsy, right, Dawn? She does, like, the back of many magazines would feature a Coca-Cola ad, highly collected Coca-Cola. If you start listing 20 Coke ads all of a sudden for like 2 or 3 days, you'd be surprised. Not only will, obviously, there's going to be more interest, there's going to be more eyes on your store because it's a big name. You'll start selling Coke ads that you've had listing in your store for 3 years because somebody finds you, oh, this guy has Coke ads, and searches your store. To me, that's the ultimate when we talk about these long tail things, which is a fancy word of saying it takes forever to sell. Obviously, we just like to fool ourselves and come up with these little words that really don't mean anything. But, when you have a lot of volume of stuff, that's the goal. Get somebody into your store, right? Try to get them in with the initial sale. And I have a video about this too, and I made a short about it, but it really is a great technique. If you don't use it, I would suggest you do. Be interactive with people. Now they have the whole new messaging system on eBay. It's become even easier to do. It's almost like a chat message, like Facebook Messenger or whatever you use. You can chat with people, say, hey, thanks so much for your purchase of this Coca-Cola ad. If you haven't had a chance yet, and then you put a link to your store, check out my eBay store. I have another 150 Coca-Cola ads you might be interested in. I offer, discounts on shipping for multiple purchases. I order order level discount. I offer, order level discounts. You buy 3, you get the 4th free, whatever it is. Do something to entice them to get into your store, because you'd be surprised. I think it's a fact pretty much. I'm sure eBay does studies about this all the time, consumer behavior. I would love to know if eBay has this number. They probably won't tell us, but I'm curious, like, what is the percentage of people that buy an item? Let's say you have 10,000 postcards, Florida Man Jim, in his store, right? Mark probably has 30,000 postcards in his store. What percentage of buyers that go and buy a postcard that happens to be from Florida Man Jim or Mark take that extra step and go into Florida Man Jim and or Mark's store? Is it a one and done thing where they just buy the postcard? Oh, I was looking for this Montauk, Long Island postcard and I got it. And is a one and done. I try to avoid the one and done. To me, the fact that somebody took the time to find whatever Mark's stat was, 63 million postcards on there. Think about the odds that they found your store, or not your store, they found your postcard. You should be like bowing in front of these people and do everything you can to try to retain them and tempt them with the fact that you have X amount of 1,000 more of the same thing that you just bought or similar. Engage with the people. It's encouraged with eBay, as long as you don't try to take them off the platform, obviously. But I think it's a huge, huge benefit to get, especially with collectors. They're good people. You're not going to find a lot of idiots. There's idiots in every walk of life, unfortunately, but you're not going to find as many scammers and stuff like that. I don't believe anyway. I haven't encountered it. Whereas electronics and other things, video games, there's tons of scams, right? But a postcard scam, you're not going to really find a postcard scam, a print ad scam. They're good collectors. They're interested in old stuff. And they're also quite verbose, usually, even in the written form. You get engaged with somebody and say, hi, thank you so much for your purchase. Again, check out the video. It's maybe CJ found it, but I have a video about that, about, try best you can without being, pushy, to welcome people that have purchased something from you that you have lots more of. Give them a link to your store in the messaging thing. Offer them any kind of discounts you deem appropriate, if that's what you'd like to do. And you try to get them to look. You'd be surprised. Even if it's like 1 out of 10 that takes the time to go into your store, they might go in and buy every Coke ad you have. Or, again, I've talked about this. I have a guy that buys all my Budweiser stuff, or most of it. It's a fantastic way to engage people, to avoid the one and done scenario. But my question was before, I wonder if anybody could back this up. Like, how many people that go into Mark's, that buy a postcard from Mark, as some postcards, take the time to go that extra yard, and now let me go look at the store name, because I know they've taken the store name off of a lot of listings, which is not cool. But anyway, that's the way to do it, to me. Message almost anybody. Thank you so much for your purchase, blah, 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 blah. And again, that's in my video. I even have like a little, if you want to just kind of create a little canned response message, you can use mine if you want as a template. Yeah, we're not listening tonight. We're talking. I'm in a talking mood. Daytona Beach. Oh, very cool. Yep, absolutely. I-4, the end of I-4 or beginning, depending on which way you're coming from. Sure. Big fan. We were just down there in June. Enzo Pecco, you list them. You're too lazy to try to remember or look if you already have something. Oh, you mean the duplicate ad thing? Yeah, I don't think it's a big... Biff is checking in. I appreciate you checking in, man. Thank you very much for coming in. Things are going well. Hopefully they're going well in Biff land. Comedy Golfers from the UK. Hey, very cool. Welcome aboard. See, now, again, the international, I love that aspect of the internet in general and YouTube. It's so cool knowing that people all over the world could potentially be dropping in and, listening to this stuff or watching it. I appreciate you. Thank you very much for coming in. I'm a huge Anglophile. Big fan. Gaff, Marty, not golf. Gaff? Oh, is that how, the Midwest says golf? Gaff? What's up, guys? Ryan resells Infinity. I mean, just based on the name, I'm thinking you sell everything and anything. Welcome aboard, man. Great to have you. I'm sorry, I'm getting caught up here. A lot of highs and what's shaken to each other, which is cool. Been over 100 in Reno. That's another day in Reno, though, right? That's what you know. It's not like it's a shock. Whenever people choose places to live, if you have that ability to choose where you live, you know, every state, every country, every area is going to have pros and cons. You know, you live in San Francisco, you run the risk of falling into the ocean on a daily basis with some incredible earthquake, but it's the chance you take. You live on the Outer Banks of North Carolina, hurricane might come in and wipe out your house. Risk and reward. You got to weigh all those things. So you live out in the desert, it's going to be hot. You live in Canada, you're going to live in an igloo. It's cold in Canada, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's always frigid in Canada. Right, Dawn? Yeah, so do I. Thank you, Dawn. I agree. It is great to see you guys. Thank you very much for stopping in. Texas power outages. You work for a utility for over 20 years and do not miss the press beating on utilities during some. Yeah. I mean, what are you going to do, right? Especially with like trees falling, I think is the usual. In my community, in my general area, we have the underground wiring, yet we still lose power, and it's because a tree falls. If a tree falls in the forest and nobody's there to, no, we have like trees go down and they, of course, they, you know, come down and they land on a power line that feeds our underground. We all go out. So there's no way to get around Mother Nature's fury. You might sell 11 fish at body ads like Dawn did. Exactly. Seriously, bring them in, folks. Try to get them into your store. Encourage a conversation. Not everybody, a lot of people won't even respond to you, and that's cool. It's at the end of the day, if you think about it, we're in a sales job. If anybody's ever worked in sales in any capacity, cold calls, all that kind of stuff, it's the same thing. We're in the business of customer service and sales, just like every other store, market, stockbroker, card shark, you know, all this thing. It is absolutely a customer service based job. It's your own job and your own business, but it's your business and it's your job to bring in. We all that dabble in eBay, you know, we're paying eBay fees and all this stuff for that ability to reach the entire planet if you choose to do international sales. And what other platform gives you that? Yeah, I mean, there's other platforms that exist, but you know what I mean? So I think it's a wonderful thing. Use eBay as a fantastic tool. You're reaching millions and millions and millions of potential customers. So when you get the one guy that comes in to your store with the 67 million postcards that are out there and buys or sends an offer on your postcard, it's a golden opportunity to bring them in, introduce yourself, let them know what you sell, even ask probing questions, as they say in sales. Like, you know, I see you picked up this Coca-Cola ad. Are you a Coca-Cola collector? How long have you been collecting? You get a conversation going with a lot of the people, and they, not all of them, but again, you'll get a decent amount of people that are in this, you know, postcard collectors, usually older people. Let's be honest, it's just true. And they like to talk and they like to tell their story and why they got into it. I love doing that. I really do. And you'd be surprised. You're going to get multiple sales out of that potentially. Oh, I didn't even know you had a store. They just go in and they say a postcard on eBay. So many buyers, just like on Amazon. You know, a lot of us use Amazon for everyday stuff. Do you ever think about the underlying fact that unless it's a company, it's a guy or a gal selling stuff on Amazon? You buy a book, you buy a record, it's just some guy, you know, but you're thinking I bought it from Amazon. Well, that's a lot of that mentality exists on eBay. I still think they think they're buying from eBay. You know, they don't know that it's shimmy flip it on eBay, especially now that they've taken the store names down, like I said. So it's up to us, unless we just want to sit back and let them roll in whenever they roll in, like tumbleweed. You know, go out and be a little bit aggressive in a positive way and say, hey, thank you so much for buying that postcard. I have another 7,000. Here's a link to my store. Is there anything specifically you're looking for? And then the ultimate, and this is how the Budweiser thing happened to me. I asked them within the chat or within the messaging space within eBay, of course, if I happen to list another ad that fits this, you know, metrics that you enjoy, or this, you know, what are not metrics? This, you know, I collect all Budweiser ads between 1940 and 1950. So I would say something like, if I ever come across any nuances, okay, if I message you proactively and say, hey, I just listed 10 more ads that are in that range. And he's like, yeah, please do. And they like that. They think they have like a little bit of an in, and you're not doing anything wrong, you know, at all. You keep it on eBay. Don't say, hey man, give me a call and I'll, you know, drive to your house and sell you a book. Don't do that. But it's really a good idea. Engage with these customers. Treat them like they deserve to be treated. You're going to find a bunch of jerks, like I said, like you will in every other walk of life. But you're also going to find some really nice people that just are interested in buying stuff that you have. So let them know. Let them know. Great to know. Like the collage presentation idea on the inserts. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, and it's so easy to just every time you grab a magazine, just take one out of them. I would, one bit of warning, especially the newer meaning like 70s, 80s. You'll see a lot. I know my mom used to get Cosmopolitan all the time. Be careful with like perfume. You ever see where they have like the scented stuff? Be careful with that stuff because you might find somebody that has an allergy or something, and you get sued because you sold them a postcard or not postcard, one of those inserts that has like some cologne on it or something or perfume. But that's the only exception. I don't think I would do anything like that if it was like a scratch and sniff thing, especially if it's years old. I think you probably well served not to list that. But yeah, the totally harmless, the subscription renewal cards and things like that. Yep, lot them up. Reputation is so important with the market like postcards or 10 point. Absolutely. It's all about that. Would you agree with that, Mark? I know, joking aside, like Mark is a minimalist when it comes to titles and stuff, but do you ever do anything like that, Mark? Somebody comes on and just buys some postcard from you. Do you engage them and say, thanks for buying the postcard? Hey, I have 50,000 other ones in my store. Take a look at it. It's a great idea. It brings at least the potential for more sales, Stupid thumbs. 2 thumbs and no index. Oh, and kudos. Hang on. Got to go to my email really quickly. It just reminded me with the thumbs. You know how I always would talk about the chat? When I'm watching the chat, it's on a separate computer, right? Because it's a 10-second delay. So I'm reading the chat on this side that's live, and then mine comes in on this side. There was always a heart in the way. The last year or so, they put this thing in where there's like a heart and would block the chat. I was instructed by CJ on how to remove those hearts, and I just wanted to know it's working swimmingly. No heart in the way. Thank you, CJ. But yeah, he sent me a handy tip on how to eliminate the heart thing. I really appreciate it, man. Thank you. I mean, send hearts if you want, but it really does. It blocks like the most recent comments at the bottom, and it would block like the last 2 or 3 characters. And don't you know, that's like the one word I'm like trying to read and I can't see it until somebody else comments and it scrolls up. So yeah, CJ, thank you very much for helping me get rid of that menace heart. I appreciate the sentiment behind the heart, but Dawn has been listing a bunch of car ads that you got, and a lot. Most have no date. You lose. See, to me, that would be a hassle, but that's a good thing. Yeah, Google Lens. Just a lot of extra work. That's why I like magazines that are mostly whole, so you can properly date them, because that must be a pain in the neck. I've often seen people sell that, just a bunch of, like you said, like product, car ads, whatever, washing machine, appliance ads, all mixed in. And sometimes when you go out and buy them, just ads, loose thing of ads, see that on Whatnot too sometimes. I don't know. That's a pain in the neck to me. It involves a lot more research. But thanks to tools like Google Lens, it makes it a little bit easier. But now you're guessing. And I don't know. You've seen it with the listings. I try to get really specific. In fact, I do. I don't try. I get very specific on all the ads I list. I tell you, on the listing, I say what issue it's from, the dimensions of it, all that stuff. Because again, I've come across people that have said thank you because I was looking for, I was born on March 1st, 1951, and I was looking for a magazine from that date, and you had it. Or somebody's from a town and they want to collect something in postcards. You see that a lot. They live in a small town and they find a postcard from the town. Or in the case of my wife's grandma who passed away last September, right before she died, I found an issue of Ladies Home Journal from the month and year she was born, and she had just turned 100 that spring prior. So that was really cool. Things like that. So I like having details on there. I wouldn't personally want to just throw out some car ad that I have no idea when it's from and guess, it looks like a 50s car. So in my listing, I'm going to put 1950s Hudson. Maybe certain people wouldn't mind that, but I like to provide detail. Sorry about that. I think I'm talking too much. I try to provide detail for people that are collectors. My assumption is that people that collect things want to know what they're getting. Mark just did a video for trailer park postcards. Who'd have thunk it, Mark? Who'd have thunk it? Yep, Mr. Laurie is here. Where's Laurie? What is she doing? You ever choke on water, folks, on a live show? Well, I'm doing that right now. Yes, thank you, CJ. Please do leave a thumbs up if you have an opportunity. I would appreciate it. Speaking of which, let me refresh my screen over here. See how many thumbs up we have. 25. That's a paltry number. Come on. You guys could do better than that. I'm just kidding. I appreciate you taking the time. Everything sells eventually. That's the only line I would put in there. Even houses with wheels sell. Daytona Beach. Yep. You could drive on the beach in Daytona Beach, right? At least you used to be able to. Your friend went to the Arctic for a week. Wow. Well, it's only a stone's throw from your house, isn't it? You're in Canada. 40s up there. You've been 80s and 90s. I know. You're in where most people live is southern Canada, right? I guess it's considered southern Canada. Yeah, it's been hot. Undergroup is good unless you have flooding like some Houston areas. Yep. Oh, talking about the location of where you live. Yeah. Lise has a stack of crumbling Nashville newspapers for free. Awesome tiny articles. There you go. Prohibition rates. Wow. Al Capone in prison. That's outrageously cool. Yeah, Mae West had a play called. She did. Yeah, she had a play. I think she was arrested for profanity too. Mae West is an interesting character. There's stuff of her on YouTube you could really have a lot of fun with. You believe eBay prompts buyers to follow your store if they leave you? Yes, they do. Absolutely. At the end of if they leave you feedback, which again, what's the ratio there? 10% maybe of buyers leave you feedback if you're lucky. But yeah, there is a prompt absolutely at the bottom. It's like follow this store. It's like a blue button, I think. If you bought, I know that from buying records from people. And sure enough, I do follow some of them. But I just think it's a good practice. If you, again, I'm using postcards and print ads and even records. I do the same thing. Those are the three things I guess that I have the most volume of. And, I just like to throw it out there because it might not be apparent to the buyer who just bought the one postcard that you have 10,000 more of them. Or in the case of the print ads, certain products, certain markets, whatever they collect. I just like to engage them and ask if, hey, do you collect all things Coke? Yeah. And it's funny, you get back and forth conversation. Sometimes they'll even ask like, hey, do you have do you have an ad with RC Cola from 1951? And I'll just take a second and search my. So yes, I do. Here's a link. You'd be surprised. Sometimes you get multiple sales out of it. Hey, Todd is here. What is up, man? Sorry, I think I just blew past that as I was chatting. Good to have you, man. Welcome, Todd. Chavez repeat, the lifeblood of musicians, bands, all business is repeat customers, buyers. Absolutely. So an ongoing effort to acquire more of those. That's why I do that proactive kind of sales pitch. Hey, man, thanks for buying that Coke ad. Do you like Coca-Cola ads? No, I love the articles. That's really cool. Al Capone. Todd is here. Since switching to paper, yeah. Oh, I have had. We've all had that. I would think, right? Anybody who sells postcards or print ads or any kind of ephemera, I've had that a lot. That's the best feeling in the world when you hear ching, 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 ching. I always know, okay, somebody just bought 5 ads or 5 postcards or whatever. It's usually that. It's usually nothing else. But yeah, sometimes they come in on something, they find you. Oh wow, this guy has. I can't think of an example, but Westinghouse. I collect Westinghouse radio ads. And I have 40 of them in my store. And sometimes you get the person that comes in and notices that, and they just run it. Or they make you an offer, of course, give them a discount, folks. Give them a volume discount. You're making money hand over fist. I hope you are. If you're selling this stuff, the ROI is one of the big, we talked about the, pros and cons. One of the biggest pros is your return on investment typically with paper, right? So somebody offers you, 20%, 30% discount if they buy 20 of them. The answer is yes, yes. Take them all. I'll even do free shipping for you because it still costs me $5 to mail 20 pieces of paper. Mark the second. Biff, I see the same names over and over every week, including advertising with all your shipments, but you don't initiate messages. Well, maybe it's just a suggestion. I'm not telling anybody what to do. It's if you haven't thought about that, it's really a nice thing to get involved with. When you get a one-off guy, gal that comes in and buys something that you sell, and you have 10,000 more of them, whatever the number is. If you have multiples, you have volume of a specific product, and somebody came in and bought one of them, Why not 2? Why not 10? Sweeten the pot a little bit. Engage in conversation. The messaging update that they did recently on eBay is really very user-friendly. It's very much like chatting like you might do with your family or something on Facebook Messenger or whatever else. So it's interactive. It's back and forth. It's easy to keep the messages separate. You can do it via email, whatever you choose, but just stay within the universe of eBay. Don't go off platform. Because if they catch you with that, you'll be out. Out in Z. You don't typically message them either. You probably should. Yes, you should, Dawn. Blackheart from CJ. Ominous? Message SOT by is not often. You stamp every envelope with text that has .com. Well, that's the other way. I like to try to get ahead of it before they even get my item, because you might be able to get a bunch and stuff them all into one mailer. Because there's also probably a percentage of buyers that just open the thing and throw out all little thank you cards and all that. I did that for a while. I didn't see any advantage to doing it, so I stopped it because it was a time suck. I used to come up with like little thank you notes, and nothing wrong with doing this, by the way, folks. Nothing wrong at all. They have a coupon system on eBay too. You can print out a coupon with a Q. What is it called? QC code. What is that code called? Whatever it's called. QR code. All fancy. You give them one of them. It looks like, oh wow, this guy really knows what he's doing. And or for discounts, whatever you got to do. Doing that is fine, but I try to get ahead of it before I even ship the item out. You just noticed it's gone. The heart, yes. Oh, we're all the way back on that. Yeah. Thank you, sir. Yes, CJ taught me how to do that. It's a lot of work, and I did have to trim most of them because whoever did initially used the knife. Hundreds of ads in there. The price was right. Beautiful. Let me catch up. How far behind am I? That was at 8:15. I'm 8 minutes behind. Postcard, old car works for me. Absolutely. Yeah, of course. I try to know the right year. Salud. Bless you, my child. But I know they're all from National Geographic magazines. Well, that's cool. Yes. What are we crying about? To choke on water. Yes, I just started to choke. Ground. I love the one-word things that are 10 minutes old that I have no idea what you're talking about. I just run with it. I throw it up there. Volume discounts are huge. Yes, absolutely. Hi, Todd. You get the where's my postcard messages that says delivered. Mark does a wonderful video series on a monthly basis, right? Kind of gives you the good news and the bad news about eBay standard envelope system. He does like a whole diagnostic about, I shipped out X amount of postcards the prior month, and this amount, I got some kind of correspondence saying it wasn't delivered, whatever. So check out Mark's video. If you want to throw a link to one of those, Mark. I didn't really articulate that too well, but he does a really good analysis of the standard envelope system, the success or lack thereof, every month. And it's really interesting for those of us who dabble in the postcard game. 20,000 stamps out of Stampa. Is that a website? Yep, Cameron is here. And thanks for coming in, Cameron. Are you just hanging out and listening? I always check out Cameron. Cameron does live shows, again, because of the time difference. He's 3 hours behind me. So, like, he'll do a show. I don't know what the frequency is. Sundays, is it, Cameron? Like, him and his buddy, and they just kind of, like, put the camera on, and they list stuff, or they pack stuff up, or they prepare to list stuff. And it's engaging. It's just something I like that person. I just like having other resellers on. Like, I do the same thing like you guys are doing in many cases, where you're listening to me or whatever on a show like this where I'm just rambling for an hour and a half, by the way. That's a good job by me. Rambling or talking shop. And it's fun to have that in the background when you're doing stuff. To me, it inspires me and encourages me. So definitely go check out Cameron on one of his 105 YouTube channels. Feel free to put one in there if you want, man. But does cool live shows every once in a while. He does good regular material as well all the time. A lot of postcard stuff. So you got to check out Cameron on the YouTubes. Yeah, I've had the same experience, Jim. But again, I would defer to Mark with his videos because he does a really thorough analysis, and it's from his perspective. Excuse me. So obviously take it with a grain of salt, but the level of detail I think could be beneficial to anybody who watches it. We talked about 6 times tonight already, and here's the 7th, right? Pros and cons, same thing. eBay standard envelope, not available in Canada. Sorry to say, but right now for the U.S., I don't know if it's over in UK or anywhere else abroad. Probably not. It's probably just a proprietary system for this country. But Pro is, it's dirt cheap. It's a great way to save money and ship in a decent mailer and at a good rate. Con is, it's not a real true scan like regular post office mail is. And unfortunately, there's a series of them that never arrive at the destination. So you got to weigh that. I still think in the grand scheme of things, it's a great, great system. And it's saved a lot of money for us that do postcards. Your mom has several people lately who have initiated return requests on ads because they thought they were getting the get out. Really? Yeah, and I know Dawn worries about this a lot because we both had an experience. I've only had like maybe 2 or 3 in my life, but apparently it's happened more with Dawn and now her mother. The example is, you do put a toaster ad up from 1927. It's in a category that says, advertising 1920s appliances. It's an image of a piece of paper from 1926 of a toaster, and it's for sale for $12.99. And somebody either buys it or messages you saying, I thought I was getting a 1927 toaster for $12.99. You got to wonder about people. I've given up wondering about. I assume the worst. And if they're savvy, I'm pleasantly surprised. But yeah, that's happened to me maybe 2 or 3 times. It's happened to Dawn, unfortunately, several times. And I'm sorry to hear that your mom has that experience too. It's really stupid. It's unbelievable. I've never had an experience where I actually shipped something and had some sort of reaction like that. I thought I was getting a toaster, but I think I told the story. I don't remember what it was now. I'm using toaster. It wasn't a toaster. Typewriter. It was a typewriter. I had a very old, like 1905 typewriter. I had one of those really small 2x3 inch advertisements in the back of a 120-year-old magazine. And somebody went to buy it and messaged me. I was about to buy this, and I thought you were selling a typewriter. This is false advertising. Whole thing. Nothing could be further from the truth. Every single, first of all, the category it's in, the picture of the item, the description of the item, the title of the item, everything said it was a piece of paper. It's a print advertisement. But, there's one more in every day. Am I behind again? I think my things stopped scrolling. Dawn's was the last one. Okay. There you go. Mark with his latest analysis. Check out that link if you're interested. It's really good information. Like I said, it's Mark's experience, but Mark's a great example. You're going to talk about somebody that does postcards at a high level. So I think it's a fantastic video to check out. And it's just information that you can kind of store for yourself that you probably shouldn't be too far off from Mark. It's a good, baseline anyway. So definitely check out that video. As I try to drink water without choking again. Todd's okay. Just listen, no problem, man. Cameron and Sal. Yes, Sal. I'm sorry, I forgot his name. Yes, Sal. Do a live listing on Sundays. Yep. Yeah, it's kind of sporadic. It just pops up every once in a while, but almost every time it pops up, seriously, if I happen to be down here, I just throw it on. And I'm sorry, I should just come in and say hi so you know I'm there. But much like my shows, you get a lot of people that don't actually speak, but they're watching and listening. And I appreciate every one of you. And please, guys, I'm going to say this because it's happened. Anybody who has a YouTube channel knows this. You could do all kinds of analytics within YouTube. It's actually very involved, more so than I ever thought. And within analytics, it basically tells you a percentage of how many people watch either a live stream or whatever, or watch a video that are subscribed versus unsubscribed. And it's astounding how many people are watching these shows and stuff, but have not yet subscribed to my channel. So I would really appreciate it and I'm talking to you. If you guys enjoy the content, please just take an extra moment and subscribe to the channel, become a member of this group, not a literal member like a YouTube member, but you know what I mean. Hang out. I go live at least once a week right now until October. Then I'll go probably back to 2, and I'll be doing a lot more videos. I've been slacking on the videos, I admit it, because I've been so kind of focused on the clothing store, which has no bearing on this YouTube channel, and my gigs and stuff. But yeah, check out the channel. Please, if you're enjoying the content, and it's been a lot of fun tonight, hour and a half in, just take a second, subscribe. I'd love to have you as part of the family here. But it's amazing. You look at those stats, and it's like, half of the people that watch aren't even subscribed. Yeah, man, absolutely. Like I said, I'll just come in and say hi so you know I'm there. Not that you really care, but I know how it is when you're on. You want to know people are actually watching you. Oh, A+, absolutely, man. Yeah, poor Dawn. Canada. Cameron is SMP. Yeah. Yes, SMP. He goes, if you want to, what channel should they go to? Cameron. He has this Parker's postcards. He has like 2 or 3 different YouTube channels, I think, at least, that he goes with. So I think it's SM Postcards is Mark Enzo. I'm sorry. Cameron is, what do you go by? What's your main channel, Cameron, where you do live shows? SM Postcards is Mark, who's down. SM Postcards, 2 comments below you, Enzo. Right there. That's SM Postcards. Wife is done mowing and has dinner ready now. What a gal. See, that's, you're very welcome, man. Thanks for coming in, Mark. Good people is Mark and Mrs. Mark. Go check out SM Postcards. Check out the videos and the links that he's provided. If you need sleeves, if you need anything, check out his Ko-Fi store that's linked above. Yes, you are Cameron. But what's your is it Cameron? What? I'm sorry, I forgot, because I'm looking at Parker's Postcards. What's the channel that you do the live shows on? What's it called? Is it called Parker's Postcards? Yes, I know. Moving On is also Mark. Yes. Gravity Goods. That's what he goes by. I'm sorry, I forgot the name. It escaped me, because when I'm looking at one name, I got Parker's Postcards. Gravity Goods. I'm pretty sure that's where he does the live shows. So definitely a cool thing to just check out. And listening whilst work. Look at throwing the T in there just for fun. Whilst working. It's actually very proper. Is my UK person still watching? You got to dig that using the whilst. It's impressive. Good night to Mark. Late dinner for Mark. Thanks, Dawn. Absolutely. Biff, I've only had one person think they were getting the product on Etsy. Yeah, it's funny. Yeah, Dawn, has your experience only been on eBay, or has it been on Etsy as well? It's crazy, Biff, because you would think that people understand what they're getting. I mean, I'm certainly not out to deceive anybody, but it's just the level. If you really, I hate to be so bold to say this, but the level of stupidity involved. Somebody thinks they're getting a 1905 typewriter for $12. It's just asinine. That weighs 7 ounces and ships for $4.50. I mean, there's about 100 gotchas in that. If we were in a court of law, they would be slaughtered. Your Honor, look at my ad. Look at my listing. How could they possibly think they're buying an old typewriter? But unfortunately, I think it's happened twice to me. It's happened to Dawn more than that. Yeah, man, definitely check it out. It's good stuff. Sunday nights. FFS is a great, great term. I think didn't you do something like that? I think Dawn was freaking out about this, as she has a tendency to do sometimes. And she changed the verbiage in her descriptions, like asterisks and all kinds of fancy, graphics. And this is a piece of paper. It doesn't matter how you can do it till you're blue in the face. If somebody's an idiot, they're an idiot. Mine was a lifesaver ad from the 40s. I thought they were getting candy. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Evening Dawn. Been here lurking the whole show. Just hands are busy. Away from the phones. Reach out the cord. Yeah. You're still tidying up, right? Which is a great idea. Great thing to do. That happened to you. It was also for a typewriter. Isn't that crazy? I mean, I don't get it. Mrs. Flippin, how you doing, baby? I've just been talking for an hour and a half. Chatting up a storm. Slacker. Yeah, no, I think we all, I don't know why. You know what it is? Well, let's throw this back on him. You know what? It's Cameron's fault. No, I'm only kidding. It's about engagement, man. You got to engage. No, his shows are really cool. They are true. It's really the two of them, Sal and Cameron, to kind of have a conversation with each other. Does he live? I think they live relatively close by. I don't know the details. Feel free to provide or not provide, whatever you feel fit to do. But it's pretty cool. It's like a split screen thing, and they're both doing, like I said, listing something, taking pictures of something, and just kind of chatting between each other. And we're invited to kind of, peer into their world for an hour or two on a Sunday night, which is really fun to do. But I think that's why a lot of people don't come in and say, hey, man, and all that stuff, because we're just kind of watching you do your thing. And again, to me personally, it's inspirational. If I'm listing some magazines or whatever, got you guys in the background, it's just kind of fun. But shame on us, CJ. We should pop in and say, hey, Cameron, hey, Sal, thanks for doing what you do. It's fun to have. Look at all these comments tonight. It's fun to engage with people. Gravity Goods, yes. Thank you. He does have many that we know about. He might have another 5 we never heard of. Or maybe we shouldn't even know what they are. You do eBay only in the evenings all day. You're asking me, Enzo? You talking to me? I do eBay all day. All night sometimes if I can't sleep, which happens with some frequency. I get more peace in the middle of the night. We take care of my dad, who's getting older now and stuff. So we take care of him, and that's my wife. When she's home, she's doing the cookies a lot of the time and doing other things. So like, I really don't care. I'll do it any time of day. But I have no joke. If I can't sleep, which happens a lot, 2 a.m. if I'm just laying there and I can't sleep and Mrs. Flipper is sound asleep, I'll come downstairs and I'll cut up a magazine and get 20 listings done and then go back to bed. No time. Doesn't really matter. I don't have a preferred time for listing, as long as we list. The 2 first words of all print ad listings are now print ad. It says print advertiser on the top script. Yep. It's a shame that has to be done, but apparently it does. A neutral feedback for Keith, because they said the postcard was a painting and not the actual waterfall. Now that, yeah, it does take all kinds. Can't make this stuff up. Any job or anything where you're dealing with people, from a customer service perspective, I worked in Disney for a couple of years, so I know that all too well. It's astounding. It's the hardest thing in the world is working with people. Outlaw Films is waiting for someone to buy an automobile print ad and then ask me where the car is. Yeah, exactly. I thought I was getting a 1931 Edsel. Not 31, 41 Edsel. Yeah, it's amazing. The next line is original print advertisement from a 1947. Yep. But this again, you're giving people far more credit than they deserved on, because you're assuming people are going to read all this stuff that you. By the way, I really mean this. You're adding all these extra things. What is that doing? It's taking time away, right? You're finding yourself needing, and maybe even if you copy and paste, you probably came up with a blurb that you can copy and paste. But it's true. Like, you're putting extra time now into this thing to kind of assure yourself, and hopefully put forth the fact that you're putting out advertisements and not actual items. And it's a shame, because it's taken time away from where you could be doing other things. And then at the end of the day, they still don't read anything. It's frustrating. Very frustrating. Keith. Mark, good night all. Off to the store. You have a great trip to the store. Thanks for coming in, man. I appreciate it. Say hi to Lori. Hope she's doing well. Queen Victoria is here. Welcome aboard, Queen Victoria. You had someone buy a Rolex ad for $10 thinking they were getting a Rolex. You did it again. The definition of insanity is right there. Welcome aboard, Victoria. Great to have you. You did have that for a car battery charger. People are shockingly dumb. Yeah, ugh. I'm glad. I mean, misery loves company, right? It's good to hear that people have had, like, it's shocking, yet relieving to know that, like, when that happened to me the first time, which was with that I think it was 1905, 1906 typewriter, the size of a house, it was like 20 feet tall. I was shocked. I was genuinely shocked that anybody could be that dumb. I wound up going back and, like, just making sure, like, did I imply in any way that I was selling a typewriter? No. And I thought it was a complete one-off anomaly kind of a situation. Then I remember I was talking with Dawn about, that happened to me. And then it happened to Dawn several times. And now I'm hearing all you guys saying it's happened to you. It's shocking. And I don't know what you can do to prevent it. If you want to come up with a 25 paragraph long statement in bold with flags and colors and, fireworks that says, this is paper, this is paper, this is paper, you're still going to find some idiot that thinks it's a typewriter. They must have not even looked at the scan. Probably not. I'd like to think people look at the photos that we put up on our listings. I'd like to think. In fact, I think a lot of people nowadays only do that. They probably look at the picture, read a title. That's as far as it goes. And they decide right there whether to buy or pass or move on. I really think that's true nowadays, especially with the advent of the mobile stuff and the site. Laziness. People are inherently lazy. Let's be honest. It's just a fact, including me, including everybody. Right? If you're always looking for a quicker way to do things a lot of the time. And, they look at the picture of a postcard of whatever you're trying to sell. They look at the title, 1927 print ad, French's mustard. Okay, I'm going to buy it. They don't read all my beautiful, thank you for your purchase and all this extra fluff I have in there, that I hope it's not meant to be fluff. It's meant to try to get my listing out there in front of people. Lots of keywords, lots of, talking about my own sales practices, things like that, things I offer. I think a lot of it goes right over these people's heads. They look at a picture. That's why pictures are just so important. At the end of the day, it might be the single most important aspect of your listing, I think, is your photo, your quality of your photos, which is why I scan all my ads and my postcards. And I try to take really good pictures of hard goods and anything else I'm photographing, because it's a visual, I think it's a visual platform. You know, the title is crucial because it's going to get the picture in front of a potential buyer, but then that's probably going to sell your price. Probably the most important. If you had to, how would you guys put that in category? Title, picture, price. Those are probably the three most important aspects of every listing. Whether it sells or not is really up to those three things. And of course, the desirability of whatever you're trying to sell. There's got to be a market for what you're trying to sell. Your lifesaver ad was a drawing, which is typical of those old ones. If I drew up a sketch to sell to some 80-year-old lady candy. Yep. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's smart, Dawn. It's becoming a less is more kind of scenario with listing. I really think it's true. Get a really good quality photo. Make sure your title is relevant and has the keywords that you need to get the photo in front of the buyer, and then price it fairly, and that's your key to success. All the other stuff is secondary at best. Treasures at the Ozark Country Store. Another one of those long names, but great to have you. Thank you very much for coming in. Fountain pen ads are the worst, even with print ad in the title. I know. And that is a gotcha, because there's no, it's a great point. There are certain categories in the realm of print ads where, and fountain pens is one of them. There is no fountain pen advertising category. So you have to be creative. Neither is for typewriters. And I did learn, and neither is there for cigarettes. Those are three big ones that come to mind immediately. And the temptation is you might find, I think there is a fountain pen collectibles section, and you could argue that the print ad is a collectible, right? But there are people that are actually looking to buy pens in that. So if you are, that's one where I wouldn't fault them as much, even though it's still stupid, because everything I write would say it's a piece of paper in an ad. But at least if it's in a category that is for people that buy the pens, you might have somewhat of an argument. But all of mine are in advertising, collectibles advertising. That's the category that they're listed in, But I did learn the hard way, because I got, never resulted in like negative feedback or a return or anything, but I did get some messages that weren't so kind years ago with stuff like that. Like, I would put, there's a cigarette collectible section of Tobacciana, right? Where people buy used packs, old packs of cigarettes, or used cigars, or used pipes and stuff like that. And I would put my cigarette ads with the presumption that, hey, people that are into Tobacciana, whatever that means. Is that a made-up word, by the way? Collectible of tobacco substance stuff. I figured that what a great opportunity to put my ads into that group, people that are looking for that stuff. But no, it wound up being like, no, this is for cigarettes. I don't want your ad. So I wound up in these instances, like Treasures at the Ozarks Country Store mentions, fountain pens is a great example. There is no proper advertising fountain pen ad. So you have to kind of come up with, either put them in what I call the black hole of collectible categories, like where it just says other advertising. That's a black hole, right? You're mixed in with thousands, hundreds of thousands probably of other products. There's another one that just says like collectible advertising 1920 to 1929. Okay, well now you're at a whole decade, again, with nothing precise about it other than your title and stuff. So I would give a little more, I would at least acknowledge, like I said earlier, that if you put a fountain pen ad in a fountain pen category, maybe somebody thought you were just showing off the ad for the pen that you were selling. But again, reading is fundamental. Riff, remember those commercials? I don't know if you guys had that all around the country, but the big commercials in the 70s, it was Riff. Reading is fundamental. They were like these, they had these libraries on wheels or something. Remember that, folks? Please examine photos. Again, you could write till you're blue in the hands, not the face, because you're writing, get it? And people just don't read. There's a prevailing laziness out there. Good picture, good title, so that the picture gets seen. Price it fairly. Sale. Treasures up. You had that with pen ads. Yep, pen ads are a pain. They're not a pain, but categorizing them correctly. And again, it's like you want to reach people that are looking for your products, right? That's why they have categories. You want to have an best match is what they call it, right? eBay defaults to best match. You want to give yourself an opportunity and be in a category that's relevant to what your product is. So when you get these, there's too many of them like that, where Pens, a great one. Typewriters, cigarettes of all things. There are so many cigarette ads out there, and I don't even remember what I put them in anymore. I think I put them in like the Decade thing or something, or other collectibles, because there's no real good place. And then I think I'm shortchanging myself because I'm in such a wide variety category where you could have a cigarette ad, a toaster ad, a pen ad, a typewriter ad, all kind of mixed in. And how are you going to separate yourself? You're going to separate yourself by pricing it fairly, having a great photo, and a really good title. But I try to be, obviously, in the most, relevant category to what I'm selling. It's not always possible with print ads. It is frustrating. Bookmobiles. Yep, there you go. Absolutely. Weekly readers, of course, people remember, I'm sure. But yeah, reading is fundamental. There was a commercial, TV commercial. It was called Riff. Reading is fundamental. Trying to encourage those kids to read. Those kids are now growing up, and they're not reading our eBay listings. They think they're buying toasters and typewriters and pens and baubles and things. Florida Man Jim says he bought 2 books from the Riff Mobile, O.J. Simpson and Bruce Jenner. Yeah, that is unbelievable. Bruce Jenner, I was just telling, who was I just talking about? Mrs. Flippett is 9 years younger than me. So with that said, we were talking about, for some reason, my dad brought up the Olympics. You remember this Olympics? I'm like, yeah. I said, oh, yeah, 76. Bruce Jenner was everywhere. And Nadia Comaneci. Remember Nadia Comaneci, the ice skater? And they were the 2 big ones from 76, right? Dorothy Hamill was huge. So anyway, I was talking about with Mrs. Flippett, who had, she knows who Bruce Jenner is, but she didn't remember the Olympics because she was born around that time. So it was just funny, I'm like, Bruce Jenner was he was the Wheaties box, of course. He was on TV all the time. It's so strange. And same thing with O.J. Simpson, right? I remember him playing football. He was a great football player. Then he became an actor, and it's just so strange when people that are that famous do things either to themselves or to others to completely change the course of their own history, and in some cases, world history. It's astounding, somebody that famous and that well known. It's crazy. But anyway, yeah, Bruce Jenner, sure. Bruce Jenner was, a triathlete, a stud guy who kids like me wanted to be, It's crazy. Not no more. All right, folks, we're looking at 10 to 9. Anybody got anything else before we close out this shindig? We're almost 2 hours of nonstop yapping. Not an ad listed, but that's okay. That's okay. We have about 50,000 more of them to get up, so don't worry about it. Going once. Now, I really appreciate you all watching and listening. Thank you very much for coming in on a Friday. Hope you have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Please do leave a thumbs up if you have a second, if you haven't left one already, before you check out of the show. Check out Cameron on Sunday night with his live listing / packing / whatever he does. Hangout show. It is a lot of fun, especially if you guys like to list. I don't know if you subscribe to the same thing, but I really do love having stuff like that playing in the background, which is probably what I've been doing for you guys for the last 2 hours. So again, thank you very much, guys. Peace and love. I will see you on next Friday, the 19th of July. Have a great weekend. List. Bye.